Yes, welcome into Foxboro Rush. Yeah, Trav rocking on.
Yeah.
Long weekend style on this episode. Trav, how you doing today, my friend?
I love our theme music, bro. When I hear that Foxboro Rush theme music, I get ready to run through a wall. Let's get some Oklahoma drills jumping off in here, George. Come on.
I would just like to point out the range about my boy wearing an E40 t-shirt, but likes a little rock and roll. Trav's down with anybody if you don't know him.
Well-rounded.
Hey, so we got a great show for you guys today. We saw some tweets from Matt Judon. Does that hint at a possible extension being completed between him and the Patriots or a trade? Also talking Justin Jefferson. What's the latest on the big payday he will get? Of course, he'll reset the market, but what it means on the trickle-down effect for the other star receivers in the NFL. We'll rank our top 5 receivers across the league and also get into the AFC West of quarterbacks. You know it's top heavy with Patrick Mahomes, but where do the rest of the guys fall? That's all coming up on Foxboro Rush. But Trav, let's first start with the latest from Matthew Judon. Now I'll paint a picture. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm minding my own damn business, sitting on my couch, and I go on Twitter, X, and I see Matt Judon put out a couple of tweets. The first was in response to possible trades that Bleacher Report put together, and someone quote tweeted and said, "Bring Matt Judon home," with a black heart and a purple heart emoji.
What?
Home being the Baltimore Ravens, the team that drafted him, gave him his first chance before he signed with the Patriots in free agency. To this response, Matt Judon said, "Now you and me both know." Left it off at that. I take this as, now you and me both know that ain't happening. Or, now you and me both know, I wish that was the truth. I think it's the former one, the first one, that ain't happening.
No, it's the first one. Now you and me both know good and damn well I ain't coming back to Baltimore. That's what I took it as.
That's a perfect way to put it. Then the next tweet from Judon, a couple moments after, some relief for Patriots fans to see. You know, it's from The Wolf of Wall Street where Leonardo DiCaprio goes, "I'm not leaving." Everyone goes, "What?" And then Trav, what's the tone of this one?
I'm not bleeping leaving. I'm not bleeping leaving. That's what it is. He's staying. Listen, I mean, I don't know what it is. Hell or high water. My guess is they'll figure out a deal with this guy, probably short term. But even if not, George, franchise him. I mean, I hate to say it, and I know players hate it, but like you cannot afford in this new regime to lose a Matthew Judon. You just can't. He's your most consistent defensive player. You know, I understand there's been some recent injuries, but I think until you see him play and he consistently gets hurt, which we have not seen, that shouldn't be a concern, right?
Yeah.
So I have to give him benefit of the doubt. In fact, I'm looking at this right now as we speak. Top 10 highest paid pass rushers in the league. He's not going to get in this air. I'm going to give you the top 5. I don't believe he's going to get here. Nick Bosa, Josh Allen, Brian Burns, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, all between the ranges of $34 to $25, $26 million. I don't think Judon's going to get there. But here's where I have hope that the Patriots can work something out with him, George. 6 through 10, Montez Sweat, Rashawn Gary, Max Crosby, Bradley Chubb, these guys are all in that $25 to $22, $21.5 million range. That's where I see Matthew Judon. And by the way, if you talk to me about his talent level, he's back end of that top 10 in this league.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with him being paid within that. He shouldn't be paid like a Myles Garrett because he doesn't perform like a Myles Garrett. He shouldn't be paid like a TJ Watt because that's not really who he is. But those are top 5 guys, as I just told you, and they're paid accordingly. If you can get Matthew Judon within that top 10, back end of that top 10, I think that's a fair deal for everyone. Now, he may want more, and that's why I even throw that franchise tag out there if it gets to that point. What I don't think should happen, George, is you shouldn't be thinking about trading him. And if he plays out this is the last year of his deal, correct? If he plays this out, maybe you had to consider franchising him, you know. But I would think that in his camp, they would be happy with a back end of the top 10 payday.
Yeah.
If you can give them that for 3 or a 4-year deal, sign me up. I'm all for it.
Now remember, the Patriots used a transition tag on Kyle Duggar, but they hit an extension. So technically didn't have to use it.
Right.
So I did some quick Googling to confirm that you can't use both transition and franchise tag in the same offseason. We'll see if they still have that option available to them, even though they use the transition tag, because that bought them time to get it done with Duggar. But, of course, also Judon has a year left on his deal. So is it play it out, then franchise him? I like the comps you brought up. To me, it's Danielle Hunter, who signed in free agency, of course, with the Houston Texans. Because when you go through those top guys, Bosa, 25 years old, $122 million guaranteed. That's signing bonus and guaranteed. Garrett, 24. Josh Allen, who just got paid by the Jaguars, 26. But Danielle Hunter, 29 years old, signed a 2-year, $48 million guaranteed contract. He'll be 30 by the time the season kicks off. So it's $24 million a year. Or think of Max Crosby, 27, reworked his contract this season. He got an extra $6.5 million bump to guaranteed money, gets up to $25 million this year.
Right.
What Judon did when he signed with the Pats in free agency originally was a 4-year deal worth a little more than $53 million with $30 million guaranteed, earned $20 million, 12, then had a hold-in last offseason, reworked the money, and got that up to $14 million in cash. So he's going to make like $7.5 this year. That's John Franklin Myers money. That's not Matt Judon money.
No.
The big part, what do you do with a guy that will be 32 this upcoming season, coming off a torn biceps injury, but the last 2 times he played for you, 12.5 sacks, 15.5 sacks, and then your defense, you had to change upgrading your DC to head coach, but now your former defensive line coach is now the defensive coordinator. Obviously, guys like Matt Judon, Joshua Uche, Keon White lick their chops to play for DeMarcus Covington. And we've seen the impact he has, not just on their pass rush single-handedly for him, but what he does for guys like Josh Uche, who had 2 sacks through 4 weeks with Judon on the field. Matt Judon tears his bicep. Josh Uche just 1 sack the remaining 13 games of the season.
Right.
He's an approve-it deal. For me, I look at that 32 years old. He wants to get guaranteed money, get one more payday.
Yeah.
And this defense is going to be competitive. It's going to be one of the best in the NFL because they didn't need much change there. They need to get a quarterback number 2, and we'll see what happens there. I look at that Danielle Hunter deal. 2 years, $48 million just before he turns 30.
Short term.
If you're Matt Judon, what if you gave him 3 years, $46 million, $40 million guaranteed, or around that range? We're giving him $18 to $20 million a year guaranteed. It's a real... When you have all this cap space, and before you get really competitive, because they still have over $50 million in cap, but before you're really messing around to being a great team, get them this money now, keep them in the building, keep the culture, which was great on your defense, who competed their ass off with an awful offense, not helping them at all. Keep a leader like that, a locker room guy like that, someone's huge for a pass rush where you have an elite edge defender. I say go out. Give him a 3-year deal with the 2 years are real.
Yep.
And in reality, it's a 1-year extension because you have him on the books this season right now. But rip it up and give him $18 to $21 million a year for the next 2 seasons.
Okay.
That's what I think you should do with Matt Judon.
I love it. Now, here's the deal. I would offer that, but I would also have a little bit of wiggle room in case he wanted more. Here's why. So I have that list I told you, and I just extended it out past the top 10. The range you just said, George, would put him in Trey Hendrickson, Joey Bosa, Von Miller, Khalil Mack-ish range. All those guys are 19 to 21, right? And listen, that's right on par. Those names I said feels like Matthew Judon belongs in that grouping, right?
Yeah.
So those right now are all outside the top 10, though, technically. We're talking 12, 13, 14, 15 in terms of top guys paid at that position. So he may want to do what I said, what I suggested. He may want to get into the top 10. All these guys have egos. Yeah. Right now, bottom of that is Bradley Chubb. He is the 10th current pass rusher as far as pay in the NFL. He's at $22 million. So he may have to come up a little bit. But, look, I think that's a good starting point where you're at. And here's where we agree. You know, short term, cash heavy, right? Yeah. And also, you know, look, let's face the facts here. And we've talked about this on Foxboro Rush. The Patriots have done a good job of paying their core, right?
Yeah.
They are retaining their core. So, granted, most of the core is young. But here's a guy who's really in his prime. I wouldn't call him old, but he's certainly not young either. I just think Matthew Judon is smack dab in the middle of his prime. You got to take care of him, too. What you can't do is turn this into, well, we're only going to pay the young guys. That ain't going to work. You need to take care of this guy who's been here, who's been productive. Yes, he is coming off an injury, as you suggested. But again, unless it is a consistent thing where he's getting hurt year in, year out, I'm not going to put a ton of stock in that or a ton of concern in that. So I look at it as he's actually more of a priority because he is in his prime, because he is a leader, because he has been consistent. I'm not necessarily paying Matthew Judon on potential like I've paid a lot of my young guys already. I'm paying Matthew Judon based off of production.
Yeah.
So when you're paying guys based off of that and not so much projecting of what they may or may not become, I think you got to come more correct with a guy who's already been proven and been consistent to be productive in your system. So you and I are in the same range, but the big thing is short-term deal. I completely agree with you. You give him a 3-year extension now. That way you get that last year played into it. So really it's a 4-year deal. He's happy with the stability. There's enough cash up front. Give him a big signing bonus, and he's happy. And you can move forward because you said this too, and you're absolutely right. The strength of your defense, not only right now, but maybe, George, for the foreseeable future, the strength of your team is that defense. So you got to keep them in check. You got to keep them happy and locked up. I
mean, it also is, keep in mind, Elliot Wolf, who values the guys they have in the building, has gotten guys top 12 to top 10 paid.
Right.
The Kyle Duggars and Mike Onwenus, right, of this team.
Yep.
Christian Barmore as well.
Yep.
We see the investment. 2 of those 3 guys who are leaders, young core pieces are on the defensive side. But if you get Matt Judon, that gets Kyle Duggar to fall back into place, playing closer to the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Keep him happy and on this team. It's an investment, not just in Judon, but it's an investment in Kyle Duggar because you know how important that pass rush is for him to succeed as a guy that plays in the box and in the box safety.
That's right.
But can be versatile for you as well. So it goes beyond that. And again, what have I said? You don't love it, but I've said this is a team with a 3-year plan to be actually competitive by 3 years. Pay Matt Judon now, and if he's still producing at a close clip by the end of this new extension you'd sign him with, then you come back to him. All right, Matt, you were here when we brought you in. You came under Bill Belichick. You gave us 2 great seasons. You lost a year because of injury.
Right.
We paid you anyway because we value you. Look what you've done the last 2 years. Now things are going to get real. We're back to being a contender. We're back to winning in the playoffs. We know an edge rusher is crucial. You're going to be a third down guy, so your role won't be as big.
Yeah.
But we'll give you, how about $10 million a year guaranteed after we've just given you $40 million guaranteed on your second contract. Altogether, we've given you guaranteed money, $70 million. So what if we come in, let's do another 2-3 year deal. It'll be the last one of your pro career, $10 million a year, and you make it work. Stay in New England where you know you're healthy.
You may be closer to
you know
winning
you're
then
happy.
too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And we could get you back.
Yeah.
And you know what? And maybe it's like a backdoor deal. If it doesn't work, Matt, we'll trade you to a contender. We'll do right by you.
Yep.
But also, if we trade you to a contender, they're going to want team-friendly deals.
Yeah.
And they're going to want you under control and under contract. Let's make this happen. So I think there's so many avenues that can go to Matt Judon with this. And I can't say it enough. He is a guy that can dominate a game.
Yeah.
And when you're facing the quarterbacks that you will in your division, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, those types of guys. Aaron Rodgers, he's still here. You need an elite edge player. And Matt Judon is a leader in that locker room. He carries that type of presence when you talk to him at a podium, when you talk to him in the locker room, when you see him on the practice field. He rises to the moment, and he has no problem being that dude. And when you're facing these quarterbacks, you need him on your team. And with that, too, it's a confidence he has. He goes, I know I can hold in. I'll show up like he did last OTAs in training camp. I'll show up. I'll go to that lower field. I'll get my conditioning in. I'll be ready to play, but I'm not doing anything for you guys until you pay me. I expect Matt Judon to do the same there.
Well, that's why I hope he keeps that Wolf of Wall Street energy of I'm not bleeping leaving, because you're talking a couple contracts here in New England, and that would be great. And I agree with you, obviously. But I will say this. You know, I know he wasn't at the OTAs and all that, but, George, have you seen the videos this guy's been putting out? I mean, he's in shape. He's working out. He's ready to go. He looks a little slimmer to me, like he slimmed down a little bit. But this is where that value of Gerard Mayo really comes into. We know how much of a stickler Bill Belichick was and, you know, not willing to move a penny here or a penny there. He was very straight line. Even though Judon did get paid under Bill, I still feel as though this stage of Judon's career, from what we've seen of Bill Belichick, is usually when he would say sayonara to a guy. But Gerard Mayo being here, being a defensive mind, the Patriots obviously having an entirely new mentality now, paying young players big money to retain them. I really think timing and that Gerard Mayo effect, if you will, a defensive guy, very familiar with Matthew Judon, I just have to imagine the timing's going to work to his favor and he gets a deal.
And remember, Matt Judon was part of that infamous free agency class in New England.
That's right.
You know, where Jonnu Smith was given all that money to be
random.
one of the top paid tight ends in the NFL and was never used to his potential. And next thing you know, traded to the Atlanta Falcons. But when you hit on a free agent signing like a Matt Judon, it helps to get him that second contract in your building. It's team building. It's long-term. It's not just short-term, the impact he has now on a bad team. Think even what they did with Hunter Henry. You know, yes, he wasn't stellar, but he's finally healthy. And he wasn't a stud tight end. He's serviceable. He's not, you know, a top 5, top 7, maybe top 10 guy. But he's reliable. You know what you get with him. And, again, he has that C patch on his jersey, which is really important in this locker room right now.
You brought up that offseason where they paid everybody all this money inexplicably out of nowhere after not paying anyone for ages. And, you know, I will say this because I remember that time period and being like, they gave who? What? They gave what to who? But the Matthew Judon signing was the only one that kind of made a lot of sense at the time when you're like, okay, because you saw that guy entering his prime. You knew what it was, and you knew with Belichick it would work. So I don't hate your idea. It's just a matter of where the numbers. You know, I mean, you got to treat this guy fairly. It sounds like you and I are on the same page in terms of the numbers, though. Top 10, back into the top 10. To if it's top 15, he needs to be closer to 10 than 15, and I think you can make this deal work.
To me, it's all guaranteed money.
Yep.
It's how much you're going to give him guaranteed a year. $18 million in that range, worth for him. You have the cap space the next 2 years. All right, speaking of guys that are up to get paid, Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the NFL. He will be just 25 years old when this next season rolls up. Coming off a season where he played just 10 games, but still racked up over 1,000 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, and with Kirk Cousins in and out of lineup and banged up. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, CeeDee Lamb is likely waiting on Justin Jefferson to sign a new contract before he does. Jamar Chase also said he is waiting on Justin Jefferson to sign first. So we have an old-fashioned staring contest between 3 of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL, because as we know how it goes, last season we saw it where Lamar Jackson held out, represented himself, wanted to be the top paid quarterback in the NFL, and he did. He got that. Good for him.
Yep. Then
Jalen Hurts came along, and then Joe Burrow came along, and then Jared Goff came along and became the second highest paid quarterback. This is smart. By Justin Jefferson, get ahead of the market. You have 1 year left on your deal, on your rookie scale contract, but you are the best wide receiver in the NFL, so get paid. But this is genius by CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase, too, who are elite wide receiver ones that every team needs. Wait for Justin Jefferson to reset the market, and then you follow. Because they're not better than Justin Jefferson, but if he gets paid, they'll get paid more.
Yeah, but listen, I think the Vikings are in a unique situation. What I mean is, if Justin Jefferson wants to, I don't know if this is a bargaining chip for him or not, but if he wants to, he could come in, George, and demand, not only do I want to be the highest paid wide receiver, I don't want these other clowns waiting on me, getting anywhere close to me. You make sure I'm the highest paid for the next however many years it is. I don't want anyone getting close to me. I demand to be the highest paid. So, and I say that because the Vikings, remember, Kirk Cousins is out of that building, so now you reset the quarterback clock. The Bengals are willing to pay Jamar Chase market value. They want to put him up there, but remember, they have Joe Burrow on the books. So you're going to have all your money tied up in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. If that's a choice you want to make as a franchise, so be it, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to think that way. Damn, we do have other things on this roster. And, oh, by the way, the guy we gave all the money in the world to gets hurt a lot in Joe Burrow. So we need to have resources to build and afford a sustainable offensive line for him. Not to say Jamar Chases grow on trees, because they don't, but weapons for your quarterback do. And you can go find more weapons if you had to let a Jamar Chase walk. I feel the same way about CeeDee Lamb. I don't believe the Cowboys are in a position to not bring back Dak Prescott. I just don't. I think they are, in their mind, probably closer than they are. But the reality is that franchise is not far off. So if you reset the quarterback position and you let Dak walk the same way Minnesota let Kirk go, okay, fine, but you're starting over, and then we'll see. You're further along than you are now. Why'd you go this far to only come this far? I mean, we've seen this team in the playoffs. The results haven't been good, but they're obviously a perennial playoff team. So my thought process is with Jerry Jones getting older, I just think it's going to be status quo. They're going to stick with Dak and pay him. So you're going to give him another contract. So you have to think about that with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson has none of these problems right now. In fact, even if J.J. McCarthy is awesome, they don't have to pay him
for the next
4 or 5 years. So Justin Jefferson, if he wanted to, I don't have any insider information here. I'm just saying, if he wanted to, he could come out and say, make me the highest paid wide receiver, and I don't even want it to be close. I don't want anyone getting near me.
Okay.
And he could get it.
It's all we think about. So right now, if you go off pure value, but that's not guaranteed money.
Yes.
Devontae Adams signed that 5-year, $140 million deal
Okay.
with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, $65 million was guaranteed. Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's the guy you have to look to.
Yeah.
Just signed a 4-year, $120 million deal, but I'm saying just in air quotes, this is all value for a receiver. $77 million guaranteed. The man to look at is A.J. Brown, who signed a 3-year deal, $96 million up to the worth, $84 million guaranteed. Because that is putting him right around $28 million a year in guaranteed money.
That's right.
So what this team and what the Vikings are going to do, and I understand, like, right, if you're Justin Jefferson, go and ask for the world because you're worth it. But what the Vikings will give him is, how about we give you a 5-year deal? Really, only the first 4 years are actual.
Okay.
Or we'll give you a 4-year deal, 3 years, right?
Right.
Knock off a year on the end.
Okay.
And we're going to pay you $31 million a year. Guaranteed money. So whatever that looks like, if that's a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal, 3 real years, $93 million guaranteed, perfect. You're the highest paid wide receiver. Because also what's going to happen is then the Cowboys come in and with Jerry Jones, and what is he going to give? If I have $31 million a year guaranteed for Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb gets $32.5. And then comes in Jamar Chase. CeeDee Lamb got $32.5 million guaranteed. I want 34.
Exactly.
And then comes Tyreek Hill. Give me $36 million. You were paying me 24.
He's already making 30.
Right? You know how good I am? I'm giving 24. So this is what the game is going to be.
Yeah.
Now, Justin Jefferson, yes, can go to the Vikings and go, I want $35 million a year guaranteed. We will blow the wide receiver market of the water.
He could, George.
Right? Think about that. Let's say it's a 3-year deal, $105 million guaranteed, but then the incentivized number could be $150 to $160. Just absurd.
Yeah.
And that could be a 5-year deal with a void year after year 3.
Right.
That's how I think this is going to go down. And whatever Spot Rack and whatever the pros are saying what his value is, which I understand, they're putting him around $28 to $32 million guaranteed a year because these owners are also they're looking out for each other. Because if Justin Jefferson goes out, says, I want $35 million guaranteed, and the Vikings go, hell yeah, we're going to give it to you, here you go. In a few years, that's going to bite them in the ass because now when they want to extend a Jordan Addison or when they want to extend or sign a free agent wide receiver to put him as a number 2 next to him, they're going to be paying the tax they just paid on themselves.
Yeah, but they'll pay
So that's where it comes in on these teams and
They'll
working
pay
these deals.
If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'll be honest with you, George. This is what I would do. I would take the $35 million
Well, of
a
course.
year, right? But
Guaranteed
hear me out.
money per year
would
we're talking.
I would take it, and then the Jordan Addisons and everyone else of the world can go kick rocks. But here would be my mentality if I'm Justin Jefferson. I'm going to get as much as I can right now at this stage of my career.
Yeah.
And then see what I got with this kid we just drafted. If he can ball, I can always restructure as he gets closer to getting paid, right? Or when my deal is up, I can take then a team-friendlier deal so the kid can get paid and I can win a ring, right? If this kid stinks, which you and I think both feel like he could, then Justin Jefferson's paid, he's good, who cares? And they'll figure out the quarterback as they move on. But your check will never bounce, right?
Yeah.
But I would take it in a 4 or 5 year window that you just laid out there.
Yeah.
And then he's young enough where at the end of that deal, you can reset the market. You can go chase a ring if you want, take less money and go play with a contender. maybe J.J. McCarthy's the truth, so you can work with your team so that the kid can get paid and you can stay alongside of him. Or you can hit the market and go see if you can get another record-breaking deal. He has the world in the palm of his hand. So if I were him right now, I wouldn't necessarily be thinking about championships and all that. If it happens, great. But right now, I would try to get as much money as I could. That feels like that $35 million a year that you threw out there. It really does. And then I don't know if these other teams can get a CeeDee Lamb or get a Jamar Chase to that number. I really don't.
I feel like it'll be something we'll see where the max value comes out to $34 to $35 million a year, right?
Yep.
And then when you get to the guaranteed money, that will be $30 to $31 million a year for Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I could
see
that.
Here are the incentives, because even think about Amon-Ra came out $30 million a year.
Right.
And I'm talking with the max value of the contract, not guaranteed money.
I got it right here. You want it?
Then A.J. Brown, $32 million. See? And that reset the market right there. Those are the two guys this offseason.
Those are the two. Tyreek Hill, 30. Devontae Adams,
That's
28.
Old deal. Yep.
Cooper Kupp is the fifth highest paid. He's at 26.5.
But it's all about the guaranteed money for these guys and what's the value they can find there and what sets them up for success between the signing bonus they get and the guaranteed money in the contract. So that's what it'll come out to on what the total value is. So now if we think about it, $32 million, it would be I hate math, especially on a public spotlight like this. But if it's what I'm saying with $34 million a year, max value, right?
Yep.
So give me 5 times 34.
All right, got it.
I mean, what is that? 170 over 5 years.
170.
Right. All right, I can do math. And then $31 million per year is guaranteed, or something to that effect.
I don't hate that.
5 years, 170. That's absurd. That's quarterback and defensive end money.
But think about that.
He's the best at his position.
Yeah, well, that's debatable.
Okay.
But here's what we can agree on. The Vikings, he is the face of that franchise right now with all those golds in his mouth.
One of the biggest stars in the NFL,
and the gritty,
man.
the whole deal. He is the face of that franchise. So right now, you could pay him quarterback money because in a sense, he is your franchise guy. Now, again, it's too many unknowns with J.J. McCarthy. I know I keep bringing him up, but that's a rookie on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
So just like we saw in San Francisco, hell, Brock Purdy's good enough to, you think, get you to a Super Bowl, right? I mean, you can't put it all on him why they won or lost, but he got you there. So he's not paid, George. At some point, they have to make a decision. Do we pay Brock Purdy or not? And they have a lot of expensive players on their roster right now because Brock Purdy is making NFL minimum wage. Same in Miami. Yep. You could pay a Tyreek Hill because Tua ain't making anything
and now you have to pay Tua.
But now you got to make some decisions. So
and this is where I'm at. Soon.
This is where I'm at with the Vikings is right now. Say what you want about the importance of a quarterback in the league. We all get it. But damn it, Justin Jefferson is your franchise player, so he needs to be paid like it.
Yeah, and you set yourself up for this because what you have with the Christian Darrisaw's and the Jordan Addisons.
That's right.
You went out and got guys that are great. T.J. Hawkinson's. You even let Danielle Hunter walk inside Jonathan Greenard from the Texans, who was a much better deal, more team-friendly. You set it up to pay Justin Jefferson. And you know what you have to do? Right now, you get out and you do it, and you don't care what CeeDee Lamb happens with him or Jamar Chase. But you go to Justin Jefferson, and like you said, there's the ego to this. Like, look at my contract. 170?
Right.
170?
Right.
Yeah, well, and it's 5 years, 150 million guaranteed. Oh, you're giving me 30 a year guaranteed? Boom, let's do it.
George,
because I'm getting the most AAV and I'm getting the most in guaranteed money.
I know he has nothing to do with this conversation, but I am looking at these wide receiver contracts. Amari Cooper should fire his agent. He makes $20 million a year. He is the 17th highest paid wide receiver in this game.
But you know what? Right now
he's so productive, George.
$60 million guaranteed. It's guaranteed money, man.
Yeah, I know.
And that ranks him 6th in the NFL.
Maybe it's my ego, right? Like if I'm Amari Cooper, I'm like, bro, I'm better than him, and him. Why is he making more?
I want real money. I want that money up front. I want that signing bonus because that's what it's all about for these guys.
Right.
Justin Jefferson will be 25 years old, and he was snake bitten this season. Missed 7 games.
Yeah.
One wrong route. You know what could happen, non-contact. I don't even want to put it in the universe because I'm such a big Justin Jefferson fan.
Sure.
But one thing goes wrong, who cares about what the total value is? Who cares if they say $200 million, but we'll give you $50 million? No.
Right.
I want the most possible money guaranteed.
Yeah.
And if that all together, and I'm talking signing bonus and guaranteed money, A.J. Brown set that market at $84 million.
Right.
I want $90 million guaranteed over the next 3 years. And then, like you said, he plays great. He'll be 28, 29. And that's when there is the decline of elite wide receivers, so they say, right?
Yeah.
But if he's still great, get me another 3-year deal with another reset market. You set it right now, you'll set it again.
I just looked this up while you were talking about that signing bonus.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson signed a 5-year contract with the Ravens, one of worth an incredible $260 million. Of this amount, $72.5 million was allocated as a signing bonus, smashing the record.
Yep.
Wow.
And
$72.5 million up front. Thanks for signing. Here you go.
And don't forget what was polarizing about the Deshaun Watson contract with the Browns, because it was 100% guaranteed, because the Haslams are morons, pissed off the rest of the league.
Right.
Not worth it, but then guys like Lamar Jackson and the next ones to come are going, oh, I want that 100% guaranteed. That doesn't exist in the NFL.
Wow.
All right, so you mentioned it, and you said it was debatable.
Yeah.
I am curious, because we're talking all this money about Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Who are, if you had to rank them, 1 through 5, give me your 1 through 3, whatever. Who are the 5 best wide receivers? And I do want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, we can go 5.
Who are the 5 best receivers in the NFL
All right,
for
so
you?
let me say this about Justin Jefferson before I even go into my list.
Yeah.
I said it's debatable, but and although I love arguing with you, I actually live for it, George. It's not really worth a big argument over, because, I mean, the guy's all world.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously he's going to make my top 5. But for number 1, even though Justin Jefferson possesses some of this, I don't believe he's as prolific as this player. I'm going to go Tyreek Hill as number 1. And the reason why is, although he's smaller in stature than Justin Jefferson, he is durable. We have seen we've seen fast guy injuries from Tyreek Hill. You see the occasional sore hamstring or an ankle here, an ankle there.
As it was this season.
But for the most part, he's very durable. And here's where I give him the edge over Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, you could throw up a 50-50 ball. He's going to get it every time.
It's 95-5 with him.
Every time. Tyreek Hill, although smaller in stature, is such an athletic freak.
Yeah.
This guy can jump up there with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So he comes down with 50-50 balls like nobody's business, too. So I like Tyreek Hill there. And then you and I both know the world-class speed. Justin Jefferson's fast. He ain't got world-class speed like this kid does. Tyreek Hill could take a slant. He could take a bubble screen. You could throw to him deep. It doesn't matter. Whatever route you want, he can run it. And if he gets his hands on that damn ball, it is curtains for you. And he's throwing up the peace sign and paying the fine to the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm going to go Tyreek Hill. Another reason is this. When Justin Jefferson went out, I saw the ascension of Jordan Addison and others in an offense with a competent quarterback.
Yeah.
When Tyreek Hill is out for the Dolphins, I don't see anything that resembles the Dolphins' high-powered offense at all. And Jalen Waddle's fantastic, but he ain't Tyreek Hill. Tua, I like, but obviously without Tyreek Hill, he just looks like a jag. And I ain't talking about Jacksonville. I'm saying just a guy.
Just another guy.
Right? So Tyreek Hill's value, I really agreed with you that Justin Jefferson was the best in the game until I saw Tyreek Hill go out and the Dolphins fall apart.
Yeah.
You could actually make a case, and I did last season, if Tyreek Hill didn't get hurt, he could have been the MVP of the league.
Of course.
And I wouldn't have had an issue with it.
Yeah, especially value to that team.
So that's why I'll go Tyreek here as 1, and then Justin Jefferson, 2, for everything I know you're going to say and everything we've already talked about with him. I'll go Jamar Chase 3. I think he's a little bit bigger of a version of Tyreek Hill, just not quite as explosive. But he's another guy anywhere on the field. If he catches it, forget it.
He runs through dudes' faces, which I love about him. After the catch, how vicious of a runner he is. I think that's where he's a difference maker and stands out to me against any receiver in the league.
He could dance and boogie on you, or he can run you over. He's got great hands. He's great in the route tree. He's really a complete wide receiver. And then A.J. Brown, just a physical freak, obviously. Mean, tough, got that dog in him. He can obviously block. One knock on him, and I almost moved him down here, but
I know
he's just such a freak that I can't do it. But he kind of reminds me of Anquan Bolden a lot. But one thing he doesn't have that Anquan Bolden had, he's not. Sometimes I think A.J. Brown's too much about A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Anquan Bolden was tough as nails and could do all the things A.J. Brown does, but he was about the team. And I've seen some things in recent years from A.J. Brown I don't love. And then last but not least is CeeDee Lamb, just explosive. He's probably the most silky smooth out of all these guys. Most of these guys are explosive, fast twitch, highlight level guys. CeeDee Lamb is as well, but he's a little more refined in his game. He's got some more smoothness to him. He's more like a jazz album and less heavy metal than some of these dudes. So I got CeeDee Lamb as 5.
I have CeeDee Lamb as my 5 too, and I remember when the Patriots hosted the Cowboys a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Watching him, locking in on him. You said it, silky smooth route runner.
Yes.
And this was a guy we saw step up this past season, the focal point of the Cowboys offense, and he's going to have to be that dude again.
Yeah.
135 receptions, 1,700 plus yards, given a 17-game season. I think his targets were just around 160. Maybe it was like 158. I only had 2 drops as well. He's so reliable and a guy that can line up primarily in the slot, but his route running is great. His hands, how he gets open. I think he's a quarterback's best friend. Like CeeDee Lamb is phenomenal to me.
Yep.
And I just, from watching him in person, especially with how bad that receiving group was for the Patriots, to watch him and to lock in on him on a game day, it was very enjoyable. You're like, this is what elite receiving looks like. My number 4, I'm going reverse order if you haven't noticed.
All right.
I go Jamar Chase. And I think the top 3 of my guys are just more dynamic of athletes. But Jamar Chase, if you have him at 3, I can't hate. If anyone wants to have him there, I can't. I think this is a guy, such strong hands, good on the boundaries. Again, as a deep ball receiver, makes it happen, especially after the catch. But I love it when the ball is in his hands, how much of a threat he is to make a play happen beyond that. Number 3 for me is A.J. Brown. 88 catches, 106 the last 2 seasons. 1,400 plus yards his last 2 years. And that's playing in an Eagles offense that was struggling and never got right. But their bailout guy when you need a play, and this is what you need in a wide receiver, nothing's working. Throw it up to A.J. Brown. Go make something happen. He does that for this offense. And it's really tough to find any corner that can cover him for the entirety of a game. He plays with Devontae Smith opposite of him, which helps. Yep. But again, this is a guy that lines up on the outside, can win any pass, an athletic freak, and such a speedster after the catch. My number 2 is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Given at 5'10", he could jump up, elevate, and levitate to get any ball, unlike any other receiver. I think he's such an athletic freak.
Yep.
But I have him at 2. As much as he is, almost 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns last season. Yeah, he was going to be a 2,000-yard receiver if he didn't get hurt.
That's right.
And he very well could have been MVP. But I go pure ability. To me, it's Justin Jefferson. What he's done with Kirk Cousins, whoever's in and out of the lineup. 2022, 128 catches, 1,800 yards this last season. 10 games, only 10 games played, still over 1,000 yards and 5 tutters. I just think Justin Jefferson at 6'1", around 205 pounds, so fast.
Plays big, too.
His catch radius, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you just throw it up to him by a pylon, he's going to come down with it. And that's what Kirk Cousins did at times. The last 2 seasons,
that's right.
He's made catches unlike what we've seen. So that's why my top 5, I go Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, and then, of course, CeeDee Lamb as well. There's the fringe guys like the Devontae Adams, the Cooper Kupps, Amon-Ra St. Browns.
Of course.
But I think there's the top 3, then there's 4 or 5, and then there's everyone else
absolutely
in the NFL as well. Hey, you guys make sure to check out the latest episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat, dropping 5 days a week, every Monday through Friday. This episode, Travis and I are on to the NBA Finals, as all Celtics fans and the Celtics team should be. And finally, after they're being tested by the Pacers, how does this set them up for a possible matchup with the Mavericks or the Timberwolves? Plus, we break down the retirement of a former elite eater. Yes, one of the greats to ever do it. All right, Trav. So we broke down the AFC East quarterbacks.
Yes.
AFC West. Rank them 1 through 4 for me. Who are your top 4 quarterbacks in the AFC West? I mean, I know everyone's going to be surprised who you put number 1.
Yeah, what are we talking about? I think this top 5 should go like this. How can it not? There's no discussion to be had. And if you don't have this, we're just going to argue. Mahomes 1, duh. Justin Herbert 2, duh. Gardner Minshew 3, because he's a veteran in this league. Do I love him as a franchise quarterback? No. But do I love him as a stopgap guy until the Raiders get some kid in there or the next guy in there? Yeah, I do. I think he's proven in his career he could play in that role. And then we don't know Bo Nix, so I'll put him last. I think he can play. I loved him at Oregon. I believe he'll work with Sean Payton. He could usurp Gardner Minshew eventually, but we haven't seen him in the NFL. So how could you have him over Gardner Minshew, who's at least, although limited, we've seen him, and we know he's solid. So that's the ranking. If you don't have the same ranking, I mean, what are you doing with your life, George?
I just love the AFC West because, like, in the AFC East, it was, Josh Allen's 1, then it's 2 or Rodgers 2 or 3, depending on preference, then it's Drake May. The AFC West is just so top-heavy. It's Patrick Mahomes, clearly the best quarterback in the NFL, like, bar none, the best. Then you have Justin Herbert, who's talented as hell, but has been plagued by bad offensive coordinators. Remember, he dealt with Joe Lombardi when he first came into the league, who was calling plays like Justin Herbert couldn't throw it further than 12 yards downfield.
That's right.
When he has one of, if not the best arm in the NFL. Then he dealt with Kellen Moore in and out. Now, once again, it's not Todd Monken, excuse me, but they got another offensive coordinator in there. So it's, again, 3 different OCs the last 3 years for Justin Herbert, but he finally has a real head coach. It's no longer Brandon Staley.
That's right.
It's Jim Harbaugh who set him up to win games. I got Bo Nix at 3, and I'm projecting this guy growing down the years. I have the one quarterback who I said you should not pick him in the first round.
He hasn't played a game.
I hate him. I'm projecting it. Gardner Minshew is Gardner Minshew. He's 3 years removed from throwing 250 yards a game. He barely breaks 200 on the century mark. And it's either him or Aiden O'Connell, but both of them stink. They have the better wide receiver group.
Gardner Minshew stinks?
Gardner Minshew's not good. There's a reason he's a journeyman that bounces around. I am saying Bo Nix is a better quarterback without playing it down because I'm projecting he'll be developed by Sean Payton and get better. I really am. That's what I'm doing at this point. Gardner Minshew is a finished product. What you get with him is what you get. And I believe Bo Nix, I would have said at worst he'll just be out of the league. But at worst, he could be a Gardner Minshew. At best, with Bo Nix, you get a more athletic Baker Mayfield with a better arm.
Bro,
and I would take Baker over Gardner Minshew.
How in the hell, in the same breath that you say Bo Nix is better than Gardner Minshew, and then you say, I mean, he could be out of the league. Is he in arena football or not? Listen, Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew's a backup. Aiden O'Connell is going to be the starter. So at worst, Bo Nix will be.
O'Connell's not no damn
Bo
starter.
Nix will stick around the NFL because of his skill set. Because he can make it happen. He's athletic. He's good at throwing on the run. So as long as the Sean McVays, Matt LaFleur's, Mike McDaniels are in the league, they're going to love a Bo Nix, where Gardner Minshew is going to be out of the league in a couple of years. But he's a backup.
Minshew came in last season after Anthony Richardson got hurt. I'm looking at his numbers. 62% completion percentage.
Nice.
3,300 yards.
15 touchdowns. I know off the top of my head. 2 how many interceptions?
9 picks.
Terrible.
85 QB rating.
Go out and manage your game, man. And that's what Gardner Minshew is at best.
Is gonna do?
But he makes dumb mistakes. And Bo Nix will be a better decision maker than him.
We'll see.
10 interceptions in 2 years at Oregon compared to his 80 touchdowns total.
Give me Bo Nix's measurables. I'll give you Minshew right now. He's 6'1", 225.
I don't care about the measurables on this one.
No, I'm just saying who's bigger. I honestly don't know. I feel like they're very comparable in size.
But they're not comparable in game. Now, Gardner Minshew will go out there and have fun with it.
I like Minshew, clearly.
But
6'1", 225. What's next? You have it?
I
can look it up if not. I feel like they're similar. Yeah.
He's 6'2".
6'2" what? What's he
Same
weigh?
size. This is Wikipedia, so this isn't
all
great.
right. So,
215.
Yeah, so they're really that's what I
figured. And he loves
tunnel
screens. That's fine, but
I mean, listen, bro, he might be a Gardner Minshew in this league. I'm not gonna lie to you because he doesn't lose you games. He's not dynamic. Bo Nix may be a Gardner Minshew. Are you gonna say he stinks?
And I'll take the athletic upside because when I'm breaking the quarterback, so I'm thinking, all right, who do I want right on my team?
Yeah,
obviously it's Mahomes, then it's Herbert. I'd rather have Bo Nix at this stage in his career than Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell.
I like Bo Nix. I just think you're tripping. Get Aiden O'Connell's name out of your mouth. What are you doing?
Hey, he's the Raiders' starting quarterback.
No, he's not.
You have Antonio Pierce trying to prove himself. Hey, I'm your guy.
No, he's
Aiden O'Connell, he said he earned the right to be our starter going into camp.
I would bet you who starts week 1, but A, I don't give a rat's ass about the Raiders, and B, you and I have too many bets going on already.
Say, we got this mustache riding on the Celtics winning the finals or not.
I'm telling you, Gardner Minshew will be the starting quarterback by week 1. You watch. Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, and
please.
It's Aiden O'Connell. It's not like he's beating anyone out. That's great. It's Aiden effing O'Connell.
It ain't saying much beating him out.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like if I beat my 7-year-old mom in a race. Like, all right, you should win that. Or am I about to be newborn niece or nephew? Like, yeah, I should beat them in a race. They can't even walk.
Kids got to learn.
That's what Aiden O'Connell is. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Foxboro Rush. Make sure to always catch new episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Keep a lookout for Wednesday's episode. We'll have Keegan Stifle of Nesson.com joining the show. He's going to break down his piece he put like 3-4 weeks into on a feature and a profile on Jalen Polk, the latest rookie receiver. For George Balekji, he's Travis Thomas. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.